What is going on, my fellow nerds? Operator Otter here, and today we're going to be discussing the best pit level for the most experience per hour for your Paragon points to put into your Paragon board. And the reason we're discussing this is because there seems to be a rather large misconception among the Diablo 4 community as to what that best pit level is, because truth be told, it's not an objective number. It's dynamic. It changes based on the build you're running and what you're doing and how you're playing. And I'm going to prove in this video mathematically why that is. And this is going to become very relevant because here on this channel, we're going to be doing some build guides that are going to kind of go against the grain as to what has been educated to the public as what the best pit level is. So without further ado, let's get started. So what I want to do is I want to take a look at how monster HP is scaling per pit level in Diablo 4 for Season 9, for pit 1 to 55 and then pit 56 to 150, because it does change a little bit when we get there. So from pit 1 to pit 55, the monster HP is going to scale by 20% per pit level in comparison to the previous pit level. And what I mean by that is if we look at pit level 1, if we have 10 HP, if we were to go to pit level 2, we just take that 10 HP and we multiply it by 1.2. And if we go to pit 3, we're just going to take that 12 and multiply it by 1.2. And if we go to pit 4, we take that and multiply it by 1.2. And we just keep doing that over and over and over again until we get all the way down, and you can see that these numbers are matching. Now that's all good and dandy, but what I want to actually show is an applicable piece of knowledge on how we can actually scale this in terms of our gameplay. Now what I want to do is look at how much more monster HP these pit levels have in comparison to pit 1. And what we can see here is that pit 6, which is 5 pit tiers higher than pit 1, it is 2.5 times more monster HP than pit 1. And what that means is that if you want to complete a pit 6, which is 5 pit tiers higher, in the same amount of time that you did a pit 1, you're going to have to do 2.5 times more damage than you're doing at pit 1. And if you were to want to do a pit 11 in the same amount of time that you did a pit 1, you're going to have to do 6.2 times more damage. I hope that makes sense. Now, when you get to pit 56, we believe that what they're doing is they're reverting the scaling from 20% back to 17%, which is what it was before Season 8. And the way that it works here is if we apply the same thing here, pit 60, which is 5 pit tiers higher than pit 55, you're going to have to do 2.2 times more damage. And at pit 65, which is 10 pit tiers higher than pit 55, you're going to have to do 4.81 times more damage. Now, what does this mean? Well, what it means is that for every 10 pit tiers that you go up, you're going to have to deal 4.81 times more damage to complete that pit in the same amount of time that you are doing it 10 pit tiers lower. So let's say that you were doing a pit 65 in 3 minutes and you want to complete a pit 75 in 3 minutes. In order to do that, you would have to change your damage by a factor of 5 times in order to complete that task. And this is how the biggest of boys are actually mathematically calculating things when they're theory crafting their builds for the pit pushing ventures that they have once they bypass that 105, 110 mark. That's how they're doing it. This is the math that they're pulling off, and that's how they're applying it in that scenario. So now what we're going to do is we're going to compare that information, being that the monster HP is scaling by 17% per pit level, and compare it to another piece of information that we have confirmed through thousands of points of data, being that the monster XP is only going up by 1% per pit level. Yep. So what that means is that at pit 55, if you completed it in 2 minutes, to complete a pit 75 in 2 minutes, which is 20 pit tiers higher, you're going to have to do 23 times more damage. But just know that you're only getting 22% more XP than you were at pit 55. Yep. That is the actual math behind it. And it's kind of depressing, but this actually gives us an idea of the concept that I'm trying to lay down, which is that the best pit for your experience per hour is not a specific level, it's a concept. And the concept is you need to one-shot everything. As soon as you two-shot something, you need to lower the pit level because you want it to where the only thing that is keeping you from completing that pit any faster is your literal movement speed. Now, the reason this comes into confliction with the knowledge that we have is that we're told 75, 79, 80 is the best. And the reason being is because the meta build that is completely giga geared out can complete that pit in under a minute. And that is the best experience per hour that you can do. But not every person is running that build, and not every person running that build has it geared to the point to where it can do what that build is doing. And so for every person, it changes a little bit, and you need to modify your pit level to get the most XP per hour based on that concept that I just explained. So I hope this was an educational video. I hope this enlightens people a little bit. That's all I have for you today. Operator Otter, out.